Hello, I'm Lucas Rice and this is my Pecha Kucha presentation on my second year FMP's theme, Retro. From my initial thoughts, I had a basic idea on what retro was and how I may translate this into my FMP, with perhaps simply having a pixelated shooter game. However, after research, I learned that the definition of retro was a bit different to what I initially believed, opening up the options for what I may do. So what is retro? It is defined as imitative of a style or fashion from the recent past. We can translate this into games to simply mean taking a piece of old gaming media and translating it into a more modern style while still keeping its key characteristics. The media translated usually has to be more than 20 years old to count as well. I have two examples of retro games. First is Super Mario 64, as it is a 1996 game which was foundational to the genre of 3D platforming, something which is still relevant to this day. Next is Pokemon Red and Blue, released the same year as Mario 64, but pioneered the monster taming genre. Next, for some examples of retro films, I've chosen The Good, the Bad and the Ugly and The Godfather. The Good, the Bad and the Ugly is a quintessential spaghetti western released in the 60s and starring Clint Eastwood. The Godfather, released a decade after, is also highly renowned to be an influential and highly regarded film. Both of these films stand to be timeless and are the peaks of their genres to this day. Retro music deliberately emulates music of the past, specifically the 1980s to 90s. However, in gaming, this is a slightly different definition. If you think of music in retro games, you'd immediately imagine the electronic 8-bit music of the past, which eventually evolved to 16-bit. This chiptune genre is limited, while still managing to be an iconic staple of gaming history. A retro art style commonly derives from the nostalgic styles found in the 1940s to 70s. In gaming, this specifically focuses on the pixel styles of the early 70s, a limitation of the hardware at the time. This low poly style was used for great effect in many games, like the simplistic pixel art of Pokemon or the more in-depth pixel art found in Metal Slug 3 decades later. Now, the final thing I'd like to talk about are games which I think emulate this retro style well that inspire me. To start with, Hotline Miami. This is a 2012 top-down shooter that really captures the retro look, with 8-bit visuals and a 1980s inspired synth soundtrack. Next, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge is a 2022 beat-em-up side-scroller game designed to be a spiritual successor to more classic titles. I'd like to thank you for watching my presentation. Here are the citations for the sources of my images.